comments? Yes, John?
Since I'd like to try and get away from being what you mentioned as like the dressage pony uke. How can I start doing that when I feel like I still suck so much that I don't feel like if I try, I'm just gonna do something weird or.
Well, the difference between the choreographed uke and actual uke is the actual uke is harmonizing yin and yang energy. Doesn't do anything outside of that. Okay. What the beginner tends to think is, oh, I'm bouncing back and forth between the dressage pony uke and someone who's countering techniques and things like that. That's the wrong spectrum. Okay, the spectrum is not one between collusion and contesting. No, yin and yang. So when you look at an uke who is being corrected, rather than look at it from were they in collusion or were they contesting, just ask where was there yin where it was supposed to be and they were yang, or was it yang where it was supposed to be, or were they yin? And you'll find, yes, that was what the problem was. Okay? It's not that uke contest, but in the fulfillment of harmonizing yin and yang, just like Nage, uke does no more nor no less than what needs to be done. Okay? And that's kind of hard because harmonizing yin and yang is an enlightened state. That's why earlier this week we were talking about decades for Ukemi. Okay?
Uke's shoulder should be in the mat. If it's being pulled off, is that an indication that energy is
You're coming up. Right. Which is very common too. I've seen that a lot. Just remember it's a pin, and pin means to press. To press, not to pull. So when you see that, you have somebody who's picturing a pain compliance technique and the submission, the voluntary conscious submission of the attacker. This is not tactically sound. We do not give control to the attacker on whether they will surrender or not. Do you understand that? So you see this too in law enforcement a lot. It's a very, very unsound thing. It only works in controlled environments and only with very inexperienced practitioners because they have not built up the flexibility and the conditioning of the tissues involved, nor does the beginner practitioner have that resiliency and that anti-fragility that lets, that pain isn't going to make them quit. What does that have to do with anything? Do you get it? So usually when you're with beginners, you'll do all this kind of stuff and they tap out, and then you get a culture of people thinking, oh, this is a pain compliance move. It's not a pain compliance move. One, I told you it was a training, it was a cultivation tool, right? And then two, I showed you that it's anatomically, geometrically working. Whether it hurts them or not, he cannot do anything but feed the architecture that's pinning them down, right? Do you see that? If you are experiencing pain compliance, then categorize it as, ooh, I am not conditioned enough and I am still too wussy. Okay? So when I've seen some demonstrations where, the uke is like, my mind goes, holy cow. You can't suck that up, right? You can't move where you need to move. So have that mindset instead, okay? So don't pull and twist. That is not the anatomical architecture.